Hey guys, we will now go through Unit 4 from beginning to end, including translation and a little bit of explanation, some visuals, again for the sake of reviewing for the upcoming test. So this Gemara is on Daf Mem Chet Amud Bet. I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was Mem Chet Amud Bet. And it begins with the discussion of, a Mishnah, topic particularly related to a disconnect between what a man says he's going to give the woman to be Mekadesh her and what he actually gives her. And our Gemara is going to discuss particularly in relation to the interaction between an object and what is inside that object. And whether the object itself or what's in the object itself or both together is considered to be the object that's being used for Kiddushin. So the conversation begins with the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Tana Kama says, what if a man says, Hitkatshi li be mekudeshet to me, says to the woman, Bekosh zeshel yain, with this cup of wine, v'nimtza shel davash, and it turns out to be honey. Shel davash, what if the cup was of honey, v'nimtza shel yain, and if it turned out to be wine? So the Tana Kama says, Ein mekudeshet, he's not mekudeshet. Now, based on this topic in the Mishnah, the Gemara then quotes a Braita which discusses what happens if he doesn't say bekozeh shel yain or bekozeh shel davash. He just says bekozeh. What's the halacha? What do we consider him to be talking about? So the Gemara begins. Tana Rabbanan, our rabbis taught, always the beginning of a Braita, hitkadshi li bekozeh. What if he says hitkadshi li bekozeh with this cup? It doesn't talk about what's in it. It doesn't say shel yain or shel davash. What's the ruling? So the Gemara then quotes three versions of how this Braita concludes. Tani Chada means one Braita says. V'Tani Idach means another Braita says. V'Tani Idach says another Braita says. So Tani Chada, one Braita says, if all the man says is bekoseh with this cup, it counts as bo, what is in it. Bo, it, the cup, u'v'masha b'tocho, and what is in it. So if he says, I'm going to mekadesh you with this cup, the assumption is he's referring to the cup and that which is in it. V'Tani Idach, a second version of this Braita is bo, what is the cup itself, below masha b'tocho, not what is in it. So if he says bekozeh, it only refers to bo, the cup itself. V'tani idach, and a third Braita says b'masha b'tocho below bo. All we care about is what is in it, but not it. So if a man says, I'm going to be mekadesh you with this cup, we're talking about what's in the cup and not necessarily the cup itself. So the question is, are these three different Braitot? Are these three different versions of the same Braita? Can they all be right? Does one have to be right? Sounds like it's a three-way machloket, and only one can be right. But the Gemara then moves on and says that's actually not true. So the Gemara continues, V'lo kasha, there's no contradiction here, there's no difficulty between these three different endings. It sounds like it would be, right? If a man says, I want to be mekadesh you with this cup, well, either it means it and that which is in it, or it means it, the cup itself, and that which is in it, or it means that which is in it and not it. It can't mean all three. So the Gemara says, no, it lo kasha, it's not a problem, it's not a contradiction. This one is talking about water, this Braita, we don't know. This, meaning this Braita is chamer with wine. This one is talking about tzihara, which is vinegar. So one of these Braitas are talking about water, one is talking about wine, and one is talking about vinegar. The Gemara doesn't say which one it is, but it does solve the contradiction, or the seeming contradiction. That the three different endings, the reason why there's three different endings about what the halacha would be, is because it depends on what liquid is actually in the cup. Right? One of these liquids, if that's what's in the cup, one of these liquids, I should say, not one specific one. For one of these liquids, if that's what's in the cup, we count both the cup and the liquid. If another one of them, we only count the liquid. Another one, we only count the cup. The question is, which is which? So again, just to recap, so we have three Braitot. One says the object is the cup and the liquid. One says just the cup, and one says just liquid. Again, this is only if the man says with this kos, okay, with this cup. I'm mekadesh you with this kos, but doesn't say what's in it. So again, one opinion is that it's. So one Braita says that the cup and the liquid together is what is the object of Kiddushin. Some says just a cup, and some say just liquid. And the Gemara says one's talking about water, one's talking about vinegar. Well, this is the order in which appears in the Gemara, and this is the order in which appears in the answer. So which Braita is talking about which liquid? So we begin with the Rambam's approach. The Rambam just goes in order of the Gemara. The three Braitot are cup and liquid, then just cup, then just liquid. And when it says this is talking about one liquid, this is talking about another liquid, this is talking about another liquid, it goes water, then wine, then vinegar. So the Rambam says, when the cup is full of water and the man says, I want to be Makadesh with this cup, but doesn't say what's in it, then we count the cup and the liquid together. The cup and the water combined to be the object of Kiddushin. If the man says, I want to be Makadesh with this cup and there's wine in the cup, then all we care about is the cup itself. And if the man says, I want to be Makadesh with a cup and doesn't say what's in it, but the cup has vinegar in it, then all we care about is the vinegar itself. That is the opinion of Rambam. Rashi, on the other hand, steps away from the order in which the Gemara, the liquids appear in the Gemara, and goes based on his own logic. He says the following: when do we say that it's the cup and the liquid combined? That's when you're talking about vinegar. Why? Because vinegar is usually left in a cup for a number of days, so they're considered one unit. When do all we care about is the cup? When the cup is full of water, because water is insignificant, so only the cup matters. And when do we count just the liquid? That's when the cup is full of wine. So even though the man says, I'm going to be Mekadesh with this cup, if there's wine in the cup, we don't care about the value of the cup. We don't care about who the cup belongs to. Right? The cup is not the object. The wine itself is the object. The cup is just holding the wine. Why? Because wine is usually drunk socially, with the cup being returned to the owner, so only the wine is considered to be something that's being given over. That's Rashi's approach. You could pause this for a minute and take a look at it to try to, make sense of it to yourself. So either way, the Gemara concludes that depending on what liquid is in the cup, that will change what the object of Kiddushin is. If the person just says the cup, he doesn't mention what's in it. Okay. Now, why do we care what the object of Kiddushin is? At the end of the day, either way he's giving here something, so why does it matter? So there's two reasons why it matters. First, is there the value needs to be a pruta, should say the value. The value needs to be a pruta, shava pruta, worth a pruta, a certain value. So we need to know which items are being valuated, meaning that which he gives her to be Makadesher has to be of a certain value. Let's say nowadays $5, let's just say. So so that's why we need to know what the object of Kiddushin is, because if the object of Kiddushin is worth less than $5, then the Kiddushin is no good. So what if he says, I want to be Makadesher with this cup, but the cup is only worth $3? But it has expensive wine in it. So that might make it worth $5, and it might be a good Kiddushin. Secondly, the item must belong to the man. You can't give someone else's, so we need to know which items those are. So if the man says, I want to be Makadesh with this cup, right, and the cup is full of wine. So according to Rashi, all we care about is the wine. So if the cup does not belong to him, but the wine belongs to him, and the wine is worth more than a Sheva Pruta, so that's fine. Even though the cup doesn't belong to him, the cup is not the object of Kiddushin. So that's that for this, and that's this for that, and that's all.